Hey, I'm Mark, and this is my wife Marla, and
Hello.
today we're going to be talking about marriage moods. If you've been married for any amount of time, you know that you experience some different kind of moods. Can I get a witness, honey?
Uh-huh.
All right, so here we go. Let's get ready to rumble.
Mm.
Now, if you've been married any amount of time,
Any
you
amount of time.
know, come on now, you know there are going to be times when you're going to have in this corner husband so and so, in this
Right.
corner wife so and so,
Right.
and there's going to be some rumbles in the jungle every now
Mm-hmm.
and then. But the reality is, or we got to figure out is, how can we make those rumbles right and those rumbles fair? So we'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about that a little bit today. Not like we're professionals or pros,
Right.
but
But just people who've come a long way in our marriage journey, and we've made our mistakes, and we've improved on those mistakes, and we can just help in some small way to untangle some knots. And life is a knotted mess sometimes, and you just need tools to help cut it away.
yep. Because see, the danger of not fighting fair is there's this little element or this little thing called the cracking, right?
Ooh,
The
not the
cracking.
cracking.
And sometimes
Not the
in
cracking.
your relationship,
Oh my goodness.
if you don't fight the right way, the cracking can come out, right?
Has
And-
that happened?
Oh, let's see. Has the cracking come out in our relationship? Now, maybe, I mean, you've let it out a few times. But
Oh,
now, me,
we're strong. I've let
anyway, I think
it out. We're equally guilty.
okay, we're both guilty.
Uh-huh.
And so, what you don't want to do is you don't want to release the kraken when you're fighting because
Right.
it brings damage that doesn't necessarily have to be there.
Right.
And so I think over our 34 years, almost 34 years, a couple weeks of being married, we've learned a few things. Still in process, still learning, but we've learned a couple things about fighting fair. So, what would you say? What would you say has been one of the most helpful things to you, to us, in
Right.
terms of fighting fair?
Well, and this is a little bit more recent than it was in the beginning of our marriage for me. I'm going to speak from this point because I think it's a little bit more helpful. And that is, there was one time I just had an epiphany. I know it was the voice of the Lord that just said, when you are in a tangle with your husband, an argument with your husband, what are you after? What are you after? And I had to take a pause and really ask myself, I don't know, what is it that I'm after? And I ended up coming to the conclusion of is I'm seeking understanding. So I think when what I've learned from our heated exchanges that can sometimes go left is that if I'm not clear on what I'm after, my why, in this engagement, then there is no point and no purpose, and we can't arrive at a good end. It only adds to the agitation or the annoyance, or you begin to target each other as though you're enemies, and
Right.
we're not enemies. So when I backed it up a little bit, calmed myself down, listened to the voice of the Lord, I realized I did not know why or what I was after. And I think in one of our engagements, I said to you, I don't want to argue. I seek for understanding. I want to understand you.
Yeah.
I want to do better with understanding rather than trying to find something just to fight about.
Yeah, that's when she put that Yoda hat on and said, "I seek understanding." No, I'm just
Yes,
kidding. I'm just
my
kidding.
Yoda stance, whatever you want to call it. I
Yeah.
mean, I have no pride and no arrogance
Yeah,
on this
yeah.
because, who likes to fight? Nobody likes to fight, but it's inevitable. You have disagreements. Sometimes they get out of control. You say things you can't pull back.
Yeah,
You've
true.
got to ask yourself, sometimes I'm not the Marla I thought I was. I thought I was better than that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I always say this to people when they kind of laugh about it, but I thought I was spiritual until I got
It's
married.
true.
I mean, before I got married,
Yeah.
I thought I was a spiritual person, had it all together. And then, once you marry, then you realize here's another person that's so up close and personal.
Yeah.
And you have to really start, you can't do stuff your way. And when they don't do stuff the way you think it should go, I mean, it kind of rubs you. But I like what you said, honey, about, just in terms of knowing what you want. One of the general things that everybody wants in marriage is respect.
Yes.
No, I don't think no husband, no wife
So good.
wants to be misunderstood or mistreated or not respected. I think when we communicate, we talk to our spouse, and there's no respect there, that damages the relationship. It damages the bond. It damages the heart. And so I think one of the things that we've talked about this before when we talk about fair fighting is you got to kind of have the rules. And we don't want to try to throw out a list of rules. But one thing I think for couples to work through is you got to figure out what makes me feel respected and what doesn't make me feel respected. Now, how that might work for me may be different for my wife. So there may be some things that she does, and when she does them, I feel disrespected. Or there may be things that I do to her and say something or neglect to do something, and then she feels disrespected. So you got to have that conversation and figure out, what makes me feel respected, what makes me feel cherished, what makes me feel special. And then you want to do your best, even in heated times or in difficult times, or even when there's like little rubs happening, you want to figure out, what can you do to make your spouse feel respected, even though you may have a legitimate beef that you got to get off your heart to your spouse.
Right. And that's the thing. The arguments or the exchanges are not illegitimate most times if you're going to take it up, because it is time, energy, and all of this.
Yeah.
But there's a goal for it. And if you're mature, you will have these kinds of conversations, not like you're going to sit down at the table and say, we're going to talk about how to fight fair, because, normally these arguments and things happen as you're going, as you're doing, as you're, engaging in your life. And so you don't know that they're going to happen. But what I think is a good idea is to simply have times when I tell you, for instance, honey, I love it when you listen and you look at me when I'm talking. That just makes me feel so loved. Yeah. Then when the argument comes up or when the heat comes into a conversation, I know that I have expressed to you what does make me feel good, what does make me feel like this relationship isn't something I'm having to rebuild over and over and over again, but there are foundational things set in place. So whatever we're building is going to hold strong, even in the midst of a storm.